With our processes here, we have session plans, and each session plan has an objective. And the session plan for the day might cover every 2-hour blocks through the day. And that's how much detail TAFE go into a session plan. But their work mightn't have to have as much detail, but it should be clearly laid out what you are going to achieve the first half day, the second part of the day, the plan of the process. It's just a process, but you've documented it. What you do, you're documenting. That's what you're really doing. You've got to look at the task breakdown, and then you've got to plan your training around that task breakdown. So you've got to do little training sessions on each part of that breakdown. The top quadrant is what causes the kickback. And as the chain goes around the top quadrant of the bar, the raker or the depth gauge is a blunt piece of steel sticking out. With our courses, we do our classroom theory, which covers off on all that. And then in the afternoon, we do our maintenance. So we haven't even started the chainsaw yet, and we've got the first day through. But the maintenance is going to cover the general maintenance of cleaning air cleaners, sharpening chains. We show them how to dress a bar. We show them what causes the chain to run off, all those sorts of things. When you're breaking down your objectives, what you've got to do is go over it, show them how to do it the way it was in the theory, and they do the task. And then you do the sharpening. We might get them to pull that saw apart and put it back together 3, 4, 5 times in that afternoon, because it's a fiddly process. There's a process to do it, but we've got to get them to the stage where they're competent at it. And just pulling a bar off, turn the bar over and putting the chain back on and doing up the 2 nuts, it sounds pretty easy, but you watch someone do it for the first time and they've taken ages, So you've got to show them the easy way, you've got to show them the tricks, but then you've got to get them to just keep doing it. And sometimes it can get a bit monotonous, but you tell them you're not good enough yet, you've got to keep doing it till you're this level. I want you to be able to do it. If the boss was looking at you and you were mucking around, fiddling around for half an hour putting a bar on, he ain't going to be happy. So, and I know what his expectation is. So my job is to get you to that expectation. And how many times it takes, if it gets repetitious, it gets repetitious. But that's what you have to do. And then say we get into the chainsaw sharpening side of it, and we show them the angle, show them everything. And you look at them and you think, yeah. Because sharpening a saw is a skill in itself, and it takes 2 or 3 days to understand the dynamics and the chrome, which cuts. A lot of people think you sharpen it 3 times because someone told them and that's all you have to do. Well, it takes as many rubs as it takes with the file to get the tooth sharp, because you're sharpening the chrome. And once you break down the tooth and all the dynamics of the tooth, and the chrome is what cuts the wood, and when you see it, it might be 50% of what it should be, because it's their first time. So, but you build on that. And then the next day you're out in the field and you actually start using the chainsaws, but you still got to sharpen that chainsaw through that day. And we might sharpen them 3 or 4 times at least through the day, just for practice. Even if they don't, it doesn't need it sometimes. Sometimes it's still cutting all right because they haven't hit the dirt or something. Some of them hit the dirt first up, so you sharpen them straight away. At the end of the day, we want to be able to compression cut a tree safely and clear a track if that's the case. So when we start you off with the chainsaw, if you're a novice and you haven't done anything with the chainsaw, we're going to just get you to cut a few wheels off. Once we've showed you how to start the saw correctly and go through that process, now you've got the chainsaw and away you go. We work with a close proximity plan so we can be within 3 metres of the operator. There's another system that's got to be in place to do good training. So, and we might get you just to get used to the chainsaw, because some people, it's a big experience. I've seen people really nervous of touching the chainsaw, but they come and do a course because they want to learn. So if you're just cutting wheels off, nice little wheels, easy, the saw's doing all the work, there's no compression and tension, and just let them go there. And some people might be already at that stage. We keep going back to the parts of the whole process we have to cover. And over the day, you touch back on all your theory. You won't be touching back on mixing fuel and stuff like that. But the actual hands-on side of the saw, we'll be going back over that every day and multiple times. So now we're applying the knowledge that in our theory, in our classroom, and we're making that grow. So, and we've got to keep going back to it. And then you'll identify some students are really good at sharpening, others are better at using the chainsaw, and they're not so good. Everyone's a little bit different. So you've got to put a bit more time into some people in some areas, which you'll find that with all training. All you're trying to do is keep them safe, make their comfort zone grow to the point where then they're at a stage where they can be assessed. The training stage is over.